This 10-year-old girl was about to wrestle with a strongman. At first, the man didn't take the girl seriously, but the girl picked up the big man and threw him 10 meters away. The angry strongman began to take her seriously. He quickly rushed towards her, but he couldn't even touch her clothes. The girl kicked him again, sending him 20 meters away. The man refused to accept defeat and charged again. The audience burst into loud cheers and applause. She is Nan Shun, possessing magical powers. And her mom, Kim, is the 18th generation of a family of superpowers. 8 years ago, she was just a small restaurant owner. With her unique advertising methods, her business grew better and better. After becoming rich, she frequently visited banks. It was there that she met the father of Nan Shun, Feng Gao. The two soon fell in love. 2 years later, Kim wore a pale yellow long dress, and Feng Gao became her exclusive photographer.
우리 결혼하자.
Kim forcefully put the ring on Feng Gao's ring finger, and decided to give him a daughter that night. Because their family's magical powers are only passed on to girls, not boys. At this time, Feng Gao didn't know about Kim's superpower, as Kim slowly walked out of the bathroom. But she realized that the bed was positioned too close to the window, so she gently picked up the bed with one hand. But the location was still not ideal because it was too close to the toilet. Later, amidst shouting, she moved the bed to a new location. By then, Feng Gao was already terrified. Kim told him about her magical powers. In the end, they had a pair of twins. At the celebration of their children's first birthday, the little boy picked up a cake, while Nan Shun watched the things on the table and pondered. She was different from other children when they went out to play, but one day, Nan Shun got lost by her father. The girl threw the bell too hard. The result that was thrown straight from Mongolia to Korea, and it hit a police officer on the head. The girl naturally possesses magical powers. At 1 year old, she could overturn tables. At 8 years old, she easily defeated the Mongolian wrestling champion. But when she was 5 years old, her father lost her in Mongolia. A kind-hearted couple took her in. Now, Nan Shun has grown up, reluctantly bidding farewell to her foster parents. She went to South Korea to find her biological parents. And during these more than 10 years, Nan Shun's biological parents never gave up searching for her. Her mother directly bought a newspaper company, and every issue published missing person notices. They even hold a national weightlifting competition with a 500 million prize each year, restricting participants to young women under the age of 20, because Nan Shun's most prominent trait is her incredible strength. And in this year's competition, a girl stood out. Her father immediately recognized that she was not Nan Shun, but the mother hurriedly ran up to the stage, taking her to a luxurious restaurant. Here, Kim learned that the girl's name was Hua Si. She also lived in Mongolia for many years. Even their blood types matched. This made Kim believe that she had found her biological daughter. And so, Hua Si was brought back to the family. The luxurious room dazzled her. She had never laid on such a soft bed before. At this time, a discussion was taking place in the downstairs lobby. Most people were skeptical about Hua Si's identity, but Kim believed that she was Nan Shun. Only the ex-husband firmly opposed.
남친 눈이 맑아. 당신 닮아 눈이 예뻐.
Later, Kim took Hua Si to a shopping mall to pick out designer clothes. Hua Si completely transformed into the image of a wealthy young lady. After that, Kim went to the company, and coincidentally met a destitute woman asking for money. Perhaps recognizing each other's identities, Kim ordered her subordinates to lend her the money. But as she watched the woman anxiously take the money, Kim suddenly felt that something was off about her. She went to the private garage, rode her beloved motorcycle, and followed the woman closely behind. At that moment, a black car approached the woman. It turned out that the woman urgently needed money, just to buy contraband. The police, who received the report, caught up from behind, directly forcing the woman's car to stop. Just as they were about to report to headquarters, Kim swiftly arrived on her motorcycle from behind. This scene stunned the police officers. Soon, Kim caught up with the driver of the black car. They even gave her the middle finger. This made Kim completely enraged. She lightly kicked the black car, causing it to collide with the wall and come to a stop. At this moment, the police officers also arrived, witnessing this unbelievable scene. To save the crashing plane, the girl kicked the door open with one foot, and jumped to the ground in an instant. She then charged forward at full speed. She grabbed the plane's landing gear. She needed to use her own to help the plane slow down. At this moment, her superpower in her blood was completely stimulated. and at the same time, her biological mother felt this power, and also knew that the girl on the bed was not her daughter. The grandmother who was sleeping upstairs was also excited to sit up. This was their family's unique sense. With the girl's power, the plane finally stopped. The rescue vehicle arrived soon after. The girl let out a long sigh of relief, because the police had received a report of illegal items mixed in with it. The security check today was very strict. The police pulled out a fairy wand from Nanson's luggage. They wanted to take it back for inspection, but Nanson tightly held it. Because this was her only clue to find her mother. The police were also somewhat touched. They promised to help her find her mother. Nanson then relaxed her grip. Nanson was very happy to be in South Korea after 10 years. She rented a room with all her assets, and went to the balcony to enjoy the bustle of the city. She not only had magical power, but her senses were also unusually sensitive. However, she never expected. The next day, 2 people broke into her room. Turns out, the person who rented her the room was a fraud. She had no choice but to wander the streets, but she soon saw an empty lot. She prepared to set up a Mongolian tent herself. She took the steel and wooden boards from the construction site, and then carried the 10-meter high material. In the public's surprised gaze, she began to build the Mongolian tent. She directly inserted a hole in the ground with her hand, and inserted the wooden stick. Then she took away the advertising banners in the park, and built a closed space. But she found that the Mongolian tent built in this way was too short. At this time, she saw the tree next to her. She directly pulled it up, used it as a support in the center. Finally, the job was done. On the other hand, police officer Shizei learned of the inspection results. This fairy wand was actually made of 24K pure gold. It's set with 50 carats of diamonds. When she was about to return the item to Nanson, she found that she couldn't get in touch with her no matter what. On this day, Shizei accompanied her colleague to take photos, and coincidentally came to Nanson's father's photo studio. They were about to see Nanson's photo, but it was blocked by the man. At this time, a task came. A good opportunity to find Nanson's parents was missed. The girl had been deceived and lost all her money. With no other choice, she carried several tons of materials and built a yurt in the wilderness. On that day when she returned home, she found a man and a woman lying inside. After understanding their situation, she realized they had also been deceived and left homeless. Nanshan decided to build another yurt for them to live in, but when they finished building, it caused strong dissatisfaction among the onlookers. They believed that they were damaging the natural landscape. Soon a fight broke out between the two sides. Nanshan couldn't bear to see her newly acquainted friends being bullied. Gently grabbing one of them, she threw them out. The others widened their eyes in astonishment. In the blink of an eye, they were taken to the police station.
난 그냥 엄마를 찾으러 온 것뿐인데 내가 원한 이런 게 아닌데.
During her time there feeling wronged, the police officer Shiji appeared before her like a ray of light. And the girl who pretended to be Nanshan, she's enjoying everything that's not hers. That day she went to her mother's office. Accidentally she opened a hidden room. Inside were priceless objects. A huge vault caught her eye. She was about to step inside and take a look, when her mother's secretary appeared in time, and informed her it wasn't a place she could enter.
근데 저건 금고일까?
네, 회장님만 열 수 있습니다. 지문 인식이라서요.
Watsi immediately revealed a greedy expression. Then she found a few friends, and planned to commit a robbery together, because she knew that one day her imposture would be exposed. But the plan they made, the secretary already knows through the wiretap, because her mother had long been wary of him. The reason she didn't expose him earlier, was because Jean felt that by doing more good deeds, her daughter Nanshan would be treated well. The next day Jean was about to leave. Watsi asked if she could invite her classmates to their home. Understanding everything now, Jean agreed. Soon her friends were invited to come over. The secretary arranged a sumptuous feast. Friends are envious of Watsi life, and she decided to change her goal. She wanted to stay and enjoy everything here, because she had already discovered Nanshan online.
나 몰라. 조져.
A woman worth trillions of dollars found her sports car blocked in a parking spot. She immediately dialed the owner's phone number, but the owner not only refused to move the car, and scolded that woman severely. In anger, the woman used 1% of her strength, and directly turned the car around. When the man arrived at the parking lot, he found his car missing. After searching, he discovered it was inverted in a distant parking spot. 2 hours later the woman returned in her car, and she found the man still helpless here. She decided to teach him a lesson. They were then taken to the police station. An old police officer immediately recognized her. This woman was Nanshuan's grandmother. When she was young, she was a godlike figure in the entire street. Back then when their street was robbed by a gang, she just had a baby and came out with a megaphone, challenging the gang leader one-on-one. But the other party knocked her to the ground with a single slap. This completely angered her, and she directly slapped him back. The tremendous force made him bounce repeatedly, until he finally fell down. His accomplices, feeling indignant, attacked her, but she blocked his heavy punch with just one finger. Then she started to fight back, and threw them all out. Since then no one dared to disturb their street again. Meanwhile her lost granddaughter of 10 years was currently looking for work in the yurt she built. Suddenly she realized her passport was missing, so she went to a nearby photo studio, but just in time for the photo studio to close. In that fleeting moment when the man turned his head, she immediately called out to Nanshan, because she felt that the person was her long-lost daughter. Nanshan found work on a film set, but she was dissatisfied with the catering. She pushed the food truck 100 meters away. So now everyone could have a full meal. Her colleagues all liked Nanshan, but on this day, her home was about to suffer a devastating blow. It turned out that Huatzi, who pretended to be Nanshan and became a wealthy young lady, gathered a group of thugs to get rid of Nanshan, but when they arrived, they couldn't find her. Then, under Huatzi's signal, the thugs began to dismantle the yurt that Nanshan had built. At that moment, Nanshan, who had just finished work, was preparing to go home with her friend. She discovered through her supervision, 10 kilometers away, the home she built is being destroyed. She rushed there swiftly. One of the men came up to challenge her, but Nanshan lifted him effortlessly with one hand, and threw him into the nearby lake. The remaining people saw this and quickly started to escape. Nanshan charged into the crowd, throwing them out like garbage. At that moment, police officer Shiji arrived at the scene, and witnessed what was happening. Huatzi was frightened and fled too. Although Nanshan had finally released her anger, her house was completely destroyed. Shiji took her to his own home, and while Nanshan was showering, Shiji received a call from a colleague. He learned that the person behind this malicious destruction was actually Jin's daughter, but her daughter was supposed to be Nanshan. To confirm his suspicion, he dialed Jin's number. He learned that Jin was indeed searching for her daughter. Shiji was about to provide some information when Nanshan walked out of the bathroom.
제가 다시 연락드리겠습니다.
나 어디서 자?
강남순, 너 엄마 찾은 것 같아.
Shiji told Nanshan the whole story of Jin searching for her daughter. That night, Jin anxiously waited, and finally received a call from Shiji. She knows Nanshan is safe at this time, and they agreed to meet the next day as mother and daughter. After hanging up the phone, Jin couldn't control her excitement, and shared the good news with Nanshuan's father. Their journey of searching for their daughter, lasting over a decade, it's finally working out for the best. The next day, Nanshan changed into the outfit that Shiji had prepared for her, and happily went to the designated meeting place. Jin also dressed up beautifully, but the road was extremely congested that day. Time was running out, and at that moment, Nanshan encountered an unexpected situation. She noticed that 2 kilometers away, there was a fire in a building with people seeking help. After a moment of quick thinking, she immediately rushed to the building's location at full speed. Then she jumped straight for the building. In an instant, she arrived on the 4th floor, and discovered 2 trapped children, but the route back was already blocked. So she kicked the window, shattering the glass, and rescued the 2 children. But there was no time to celebrate, as there were more children waiting for her rescue. 10 years separated daughter finally finds her mother, but suddenly, an explosion sent the daughter flying. Just moments ago, Nam-soon excitedly went to recognize her mother. She discovered a burning building in the distance. She immediately rushed to the scene and jumped into the blazing fire to rescue the trapped children. At the same time, Nam-soon's mother was stuck in traffic. She watched the fire truck blocked behind her. She immediately pushed the blocking vehicles to the sides, creating a path for the fire truck. Kim also arrived at the scene of the fire. She witnessed her daughter Nam-soon rescuing people. Nam-soon had already saved 8 children. Even with her superpowers, she's struggling, but she jumped on it again. Her mother quickly picked up a nearby railing, using it as a ladder to climb up. At that moment, Nam-soon discovered that no one was trapped and was about to leave, but she just happened to see her long-lost mother at the window.
엄마?
Suddenly, an explosion sent Nam-soon flying. Kim jumped down and caught her daughter in midair. Fortunately, both of them had superpowers, so they were unharmed. Seeing her daughter, Kim was moved to tears. She decided to repay everyone who had helped Nam-soon. She built a building for her foster parents far away in Mongolia. Nam-soon's two homeless friends also got a large sum of money. Nam-soon's grandmother is also very excited to see her granddaughter. Father also shed tears of excitement. And Hwatsi, who pretended to be Nam-soon, has escaped. And he's on the police's most wanted list. After Nam-soon returned to her room, Kim contacted police officer Shiji immediately. She knew that their reunion wouldn't have been possible without his help. The next day, Kim finds Shiji. Make the other guy take his check no matter what. Shiji initially wanted to refuse, but he couldn't break free from Kim's superpowered hands. At that moment, Shiji's mother returned home. She saw the strange scene and noticed the luggage on the ground. She concluded that her son was being kept by a wealthy person. Just then, Kim held her hand and explained the situation. Kim picked up Nam-soon's luggage and left. To celebrate the return of the long-lost granddaughter, Grandma decided to personally cook in the kitchen. In just a moment she separated the beef bones. With a gentle twist the beef bones snapped. She directly rubbed the beef bones into powder with her hands. Then she effortlessly carried the beef bones out. Ever since Nanshan reunited with her mother, she diligently dressed up every day with the help of her secretary, always making her mother be pleasantly surprised. Today is the first day Nanshan is going on a date with the police officer Shiji. Shiji told her that he is going undercover at a logistics company because he is investigating illegal trade of prohibited items. Nanshan expressed her desire to go as well and demonstrated her own strength.
나 힘도 세잖아.
Later they both went to the logistics company for job interviews. The boss took them to the warehouse in the back. Their task for the day is to deliver the goods behind them. For Nanshan this was very simple, so under the boss's astonished gaze, she easily picked up 4 cases of barrels of water and loaded them into her car. She feels it's a waste of time. She asked the boss to bring a pallet. At this moment the boss became very obedient. Then Nanshan began her performance.
왜 저렇게 힘이 센 거야?
아우야. 안 그럼 당신도 좀 돕던가.
While they were on the way to deliver the goods, Nanshan suddenly saw a woman 1 kilometer away. This is the woman who cheated him out of all his money in the first place. She asked Shiji to stop the car. Nanshan walked up to the woman. She demanded the woman to return her money immediately, but the woman was very arrogant, challenging her to come and take it herself. Nanshan had no choice but to take action herself. Until he got back to the car, Shiji was still staring at the sky in disbelief. At night they went to the warehouse to search for clues. Nanshan effortlessly opened the warehouse door. The search operation officially began. A girl with superpowers and a police officer went to search for contraband items. They just entered the warehouse. Nanshan lightly jumped and closed the gate. The police officer Shiji still wanted to bring night vision goggles, but Nanshan didn't need them because darkness didn't exist in her eyes. In an instant Nanshan found the items they were searching for. She leaped up and flew towards them. Not only is Shiji no help at all, and always knocking things over, luckily Nanshan was by his side, always saves him. They took samples quickly, and Nanshan put the boxes back in place. At that moment a voice came over the intercom instructing them to evacuate. Shiji had no choice but to painfully walk outside. The police officers outside saw their figures and thought Nanshan was injured, but the next moment he was stunned. Nanshan jogged over and threw Shiji into the car. That night when she got home Nanshan saw a greeting message from Shiji. She felt like she was in love. Shyly she rolled around on her bed. The next day Nanshan continued to move cargo as usual. The boss was always secretly filming nearby. He asked Nanshan what's the secret of his power.
에라는 100개씩 그것도 날개라는 거.
사람이랑 사는 건 안 되고 날개가 100개.
그리고 모든 음식은 다 쌩이다. 닭도 쌩이고 돼지도 쌩.
The boss was very excited after listening and seemed to know a big secret. Just as she and Shiji were about to make the delivery, Shiji got a call from headquarters. They ordered him to immediately stop his undercover operation, because the samples he brought back didn't find any contraband items. But they still decided to complete the last delivery. They wanted to leave as soon as possible, but met an unreasonable shopkeeper. Have them move everything into the kitchen, but after they moved in, the boss is still looking for trouble, pointing at Nanshan and speaking disrespectfully. Nanshan has never been so angry, so when they were leaving, Nanshan decided to make the boss feel her anger.
테이블이 불량이네.
The reason the girl did it, because earlier she came to deliver vegetables to the boss, being reprimanded by a bully boss. So she became a customer. Let the boss feel the pain too. Impressed him on the way out. Nanchun mother Kim was even more arrogant. She came to find a bank manager, but the front desk staff said she couldn't meet without an appointment. So she pulled out her wallet on the spot, quickly flipping from the front page to the back. She handed over the card with the least amount. The front desk staff were stunned by the balance, and the service attitude immediately became very good. And Kim came to see the manager for the purpose of prying into the contraband deal. At the same time, the police received a report. There was a fatality at the swimming pool. Soon afterwards, similar incidents happened one after another. This batch of illegal drugs was incredibly powerful. Just 0.1 grams were enough to be fatal. And before dying, they would have incredible strength. But ordinary people couldn't withstand it for more than 3 seconds. Even a police officer at the station was affected. It caused him to drink 10 buckets of water every day. At this time, Nanchun brother Nanrun was eating a burger, when a beautiful woman suddenly came up to him, offering him a bottle of pills that were said to help him lose weight. She left after saying that, but Nanrun had no intention of losing weight. Put the medicine directly aside. Ever since Shiji stopped his undercover operation, Nanchun was the only one helping secretly. On this day, she infiltrated the warehouse again, when she suddenly heard another noise. She went over and found a man. Unsuspecting Nanchun tries to greet him, but in the next second, Superpower Girl finally encounters her adversary. In the warehouse, Nanchun discovers a man. She intends to approach and greet him, but she is struck and sent flying by his palm. When she emerges from the crates, the man has already disappeared without a trace. At night, Nanchun returns home and informs her mother that she is working undercover. Her mother is also investigating the case of the banned substance. She showed Namsoon a picture on her computer. It's the man Nanchun saw at the warehouse. Since Nanchun has become embroiled in this turmoil, her mother decides to investigate together with her. Meanwhile, Shiji is having a hard time with the case. Suddenly, he realizes a crucial point, that the victims in these several cases had all come into contact with a large amount of water.
물입니다. 물에 반응해요. 물과 반응하면 마약이 됩니다. 물을 마시면 체내 마약 성분이 더 강해져요. 그래서 결국 죽어요, 팀장님. 물 마시면 안 됩니다.
And the man from the warehouse has already found out about Nanchun. He immediately summons the logistics boss to his office and hints for him to monitor Nanchun. On this day, a man in the warehouse was trying to get the box, accidentally rolled clothes into the conveyor. Colleagues rush over immediately to help, but they are helpless against the machine's power. Nanchun also notices this unexpected accident and rushes over directly. She steps on the conveyor belt with one foot, and in an instant, the machine stops rotating. Applause breaks out at the scene. On that day, Shiji and the team leader are reporting the situation to the bureau chief. Clearly, the team leader is in very poor condition. He almost snatches the water from the bureau chief. When he left, he couldn't hold himself up and fell to the ground. Shiji immediately drives him to the hospital, but the team leader insists on resisting. Helpless, Shiji can only tie the team leader up at home. At night, the team leader suddenly has hallucinations. He suddenly explodes with power and breaks the handcuffs, and begins to attack Shiji.
팀장님, 제발 정신 좀 차리세요.
Two police officers engage in a fight inside a room, because the team leader was under the influence of a prohibited substance and his mind was not clear. Shiji's life hangs in the balance. But just at the critical moment, Nanchun appears. She threw the team leader straight to the side, but the team leader came at her again. Under the influence of prohibited substances, he becomes incredibly strong. But in Nanchun's eyes, he is completely inadequate. While Namsoon was at a standoff with the team leader, Shiji took the team leader right down. Nanchun jumped straight up and pinned the team leader to the ground. Then Shiji tied his hands and feet, until the team leader's strength is exhausted and he falls into a coma. At this point, Nanchun decides that she must quickly search for the prohibited substances in the warehouse. She also brings her only friends, Lee and Lu, with her. She set off for the warehouse with the two on her back. In the evening, the three of them sneakily appear in front of the warehouse door. Lu is in charge of keeping watch outside. Nanchun and Lee infiltrate the warehouse. But before they can take action, Lu outside the door is discovered. She easily escapes, using the excuse of not finding the restroom. With her astonishing acting skills, the manager finds it strange. So, he comes to inspect the warehouse. But despite searching for a long time, he never finds anyone. But he doesn't know that Nanchun and Lee are hiding inside a box less than a meter away from him. Then, the manager pretends to leave, and Nanchun and the others quietly emerge from the box. Suddenly, the manager reappears. startling everyone who screams in fear.
와, 날라갔어.
Then they proceed to select all the white items according to the plan, and quickly flee the scene. The next day, all the items are piled up at the police station. The police were shocked to see it, and the poor warehouse manager is left stranded on a 10-meter high shelf by Nanshan and can't come down. Meanwhile, after a night of rest, the team leader regained consciousness. Shiji removes the chair and helps him stand up, and instructs him not to drink water under any circumstances. Soon after, Shiji rushes to the warehouse, because he is worried that something might happen to Nanshan alone, but Shiji just left. The team leader's medication is reacting again. He forgets Shiji's advice, and starts searching for a water source in his house. But all the drinking water at home has already been handled by Shiji. When he reaches the bathroom, he discovers the only water source in the house. A man stared at the beautiful woman in front of him. Saliva almost drooled out of his mouth. He noticed a handsome guy next to the girl. The girl gave him a disgusted look. At that moment he swore to lose weight. So he took out a white pill. Just a few days ago, a girl in a short skirt handed the pill to him.
저도 그 약 먹고 뺐는데 당신은 안 늙은 복권이에요. 다이어트만 하면 끝장일 텐데.
He didn't care at the time, but now staring at the pill in his hand, he ingested it unsuspectingly. Meanwhile his sister Nanshan was facing a crisis. Since Watsi pretended to be Nanshan and became a wanted person, the girl had been thinking about killing Nanshan all the time. That day in the warehouse, she finally found an opportunity, and approached Nanshan with a knife. But how could Nanshan, who possessed superpowers, get hurt easily? She had already taken hold of the dagger in advance. Then with a palm strike she sent Watsi flying. It turned out to be just a false alarm. Nanshuan's mother Kim had no idea that her daughter almost got harmed. She's also investigating a banned substance case with national implications. She suspected Mr. Liu in front of her to be the mastermind. Kim proposed to invest in his company and become the major shareholder. Only then could she gather evidence. Returning to his office, Mr. Liu started investigating Kim, and found out that the other party did indeed have astonishing financial resources. Then the warehouse manager came in to report the video of Nanshan stealing in the warehouse. Mr. Liu did not understand the purpose behind Nanshuan's actions. He decided to meet Nanshan in person. Nanshan immediately told Shiji about the situation. She thought it was an opportunity to get close to Mr. Liu, so she went to his office. Nanshan apologized for the theft incident, but Mr. Liu didn't blame her. Instead, he wanted to be friends with her. On the other side, since he took the mysterious pill, Nanshuan's younger brother lost interest in any food. He used to be able to eat 10 boxes of fried chicken, now eaten 1 box and don't want to taste it. And at the family gathering that day, the steak on his plate turned to stone in his eyes. A woman with a net worth of trillions of dollars barged into the office. With a casual sweep of her hand, she sent the approaching man flying. The people around were immediately stunned. The woman then lifted the man up again. She even asked the man next to him if he wanted to experience it too. The man was so scared that he fled in a panic. Then the woman packed them up and took them away. These two people were actually fraudsters. Just a few days ago, the coffee barista that the woman liked encountered a scam. The barista burst into tears in the car. The woman hugged him in her arms to comfort him. Due to the low efficiency of the police investigation, the woman turned to her son for help. Using advanced technology, her son located the fraudsters. Based on the address, the woman went to an office building. Finally, she took them all to the police station. This fraud was quickly solved. Afterwards, the barista asked the woman why she had such great strength. The woman told him that it was the unique superpower of her family. And on this day, the woman's family held a banquet. All family members were present. Kim arrived early with her daughter Nanshan. The barista, who was invited, was also present, as well as Shiji, who had a close relationship with Nanshan. When everyone raised their glasses for a toast, the secretary suddenly stood up.
저 임신했습니다. 아이 아빠는 강봉고 씨입니다.
선생님, 정비서가 왜 그런 농담을...
선생님, 이제 우리 밝혀요. 뭐가 무서워요? 우리 이제 떳떳하다고요.
Nanshuan's father was completely panicked at this point. He couldn't explain anything clearly anymore. Jean was even so angry that she fainted on the spot. Turned out it was just a prank. Terrified, Nanchuan's father nearly wet his pants. After the banquet, the three ladies chatted and became more and more happy. They happily splashed water into the sky. Suddenly, a rainbow appeared in the sky, and Shiji, who left early, is walking down the street, feeling a little inexplicable.
말은 하는데 비? 뭐야?
Woman imprisoned in a 10-meter pit. A massive iron block suddenly descended from above. In a critical moment, Nanshan swiftly lifted her arm. The power in Shi body instantly exploded. At that moment, her mother and grandmother at home sensed it too. But Mr. Lu controlling it all was not satisfied. He chose to keep up the pressure until Nanshan was pressed to kneel with one knee. Yet she continued to struggle. Finally, she broke through her limits, pushing the enormous iron block back into the air. As the iron block began to descend again, Nanshan jumped up through the gap to the elevated platform, gazed angrily at the man before her. Just 3 hours earlier, Mr. Lu called Nanshan into his office, deciding to test her abilities. So there was that test. Meanwhile, Nanchuan's mother Jean, who possessed bloodline perception, hastily rode her motorcycle to the scene. However, the perception disappeared before she arrived. She realized that Nanshan should be unharmed. Coincidentally, two sleazy-looking men on motorcycles approached Jean.
우리 동안은 들어와. 특별하게 잘 챙겨줄게.
Observing the confident duo in front of her, Kim broke the man's helmet straight into pieces. The other side is stunned, rushed to apologize to Kim. On the other side, although Nanshan passed the test, she was displeased with the extreme method. She shared the situation with Shiji, though she spoke lightly about it. But when Shiji heard what happened to Nanshan, still very worried. But that's the only way Nanshan can get inside the other side to investigate the contraband. Meanwhile, the warehouse manager called her. Ever since heard Nam Soon say that eating 100 raw eggs will make you strong, he successfully arranged himself on the toilet. The phone call to Nanshan was because a mysterious death occurred within the company. He need Nanshan to go to the police station for him. The next day, Nanshan put on decent clothes, came to Mr. Lu's company for her first day of work. But as soon as she sat down, Mr. Lu called her over, have her memorize the character files on the computer. Throughout the process, Nanshan kept raising her wristwatch, because there's a hidden camera in the watch. Subsequently, Mr. Lu took her to his own club. He wanted Nanshan to take over the work there.
내 일을 넘기라는 건 대체 무슨 소리야?
저 사람 내 사람으로 만들 거야. 약을 먹고 힘이 센 여자가 아니야. 타고나길 힘이 센 여자. 어쩌면 신이 내게 선물한 여자일지도 몰라.
Superpowered girl dressed as a ghost ready to steal her boss's computer. Her goal is to find clues of contraband. Yesterday, Nanshan finally gained Mr. Lu's trust. He even let her take over his private club. But Mary, the person in charge, was angry. She put drugs in Nanshan's drink. Without any precautions, Nanshan drank it. The next second, a sharp pain spread through her throat. She discovered Nanshan's abnormal situation through surveillance. He prepared to rush to her rescue without hesitation, but he happened to meet Mr. Lu. Lu had never seen Shiji and didn't know his police identity. At this moment, his colleague honked the horn, calling him back to the car.
이것도 테스트냐?
Nanshan was actually unharmed. With her superpower, how could she be defeated by a little toxin? After that, she threw Mary onto the sofa casually. Seeing that Nanshan was okay, Shiji breathed a sigh of relief. After Nanshan got into the car, she decided to steal computer data from Mr. Lu's office that night. Seeing Nanshan so confident, the policeman next to her began to imagine her plan. Facing the strict security measures, Nanshan managed to dodge it with a magnificent move. Then she sneaked into the office, operated numerous computers, and easily stole the target information she wanted. But the reality was different. Nanshan is dressed as a ghost, stumbled to the office, a quick dash to the computer, but she doesn't know how to operate. In desperation, she decided to carry the computer away, but she encountered a security guard at the door. Although she tried her best to avoid him, she still startled the guard. In the end, Nanshan chose to jump out of the window to escape. Nanshan, who landed on the ground, had no time to explain. He quickly left the scene. Shiji followed her in a hurry.
야 강남순! 서! 쓰라고!
Soon afterwards, Shiji parked the car by the side of the road. Nanshan triumphantly handed the computer to Shiji, asking him to bring it back to the police station for investigation. The next day, the police checked the computer, found that it was as clean as a white paper. Shiji immediately told Nanshan, asking her to change directions and continue the investigation. At this time, the security guard was describing the thief's appearance. Just when he was talking about height, he suddenly saw Nanshan outside the door.
몰랐어. 너 그뿐이야?
At this moment, Mr. Lu decided to investigate Nanshan personally. The girl lifts up a 1-ton container and throws it directly towards the men in front of her. The group of men is terrified and panicking. Even escaping becomes an unattainable hope. Nanshan surrounded everyone with containers. She stands on top of it calmly watching them. Ever since the big boss, Mr. Lu, became suspicious of Nanshan, he decided to personally investigate her identity. And Huatzi, who had once impersonated Nanshan, is her best investigative target? Mr. Lu offers generous terms to make her reveal the truth. But no matter how he threatens her, Huatzi still doesn't tell him the truth. The reason Huatzi helps Nanshan hide her identity is actually because Nanshan's mother approached her in advance, not minding the mistakes she had made in the past, and accepted her as her goddaughter. As a result, Mr. Lu dismisses his suspicions of Nanshan and brings her to meet an important client. But little did Nanshan expect. This time, the people meeting are Shi Mom Kim and Shi boyfriend, Shiji. After a brief moment of surprise, they quickly introduce themselves naturally. In the middle, Shiji takes the opportunity to leave the room. He sneaks into a minister's room and installs a hidden camera. Meanwhile, in the room, tensions rise. Kim mentions that Mr. Lu's money comes from contraband. This angers Mr. Lu greatly. Just as Kim intends to continue provoking him, Nanshan interrupts their conversation, ending the intense confrontation. After Mr. Lu leaves, the former head, Mary, invited Nanshan to come out and talk. In no time, she is brought to the pier. Mary is very dissatisfied that Nanshan took over her work and wants to teach her a lesson. In the darkness, dozens of strong men slowly emerge. Nanshan pretends to be scared, turns and runs. The next second, she lifts up a heavy container, and the scene from the beginning happens. Back at home, Nanshan questions her mother. Why did she provoke Mr. Lu? Because that man will do anything. She thought her mother would be very angry, but instead, she says,
네가 이렇게 주체적으로 엄마랑 맞서다니. 내가 딸이랑 싸우는 내 친구들을 얼마나 부러워했었는데.
아무튼 엄마 다시 그러지 마. 부탁할게.
At night, Mr. Lu decides to nip the threat in the bud.
너 누구 하나 죽여야겠다.
The husband who had been away from home for 10 years finally returned. The wife decided to surprise him. But this surprise led to the husband passing out. So the wife had to push the cart to the hospital. After getting to the hospital, she inadvertently learned that her daughter was also in hospital. So she quickly went to the ward, gently push away the security guards who were blocking the way. When she opened the door, she saw Kim covered in bandage. All of this was planned by Mr. Lu. He ordered her men to knock over Kim's car, creating a false traffic accident. And when Kim mom saw her daughter seriously injured, she cried in pain by the bedside, blaming herself for not protecting Shi. But at this moment, her phone suddenly received a call from her daughter. She looked confused and answered the call.
여보세요? 엄마. 뭐 하는 거야 거기서? 엄마는 아빠나 신경 써.
누구세요?
누구긴? 타지 황금쥐.
It turns out that all of this is Kim's plan. In order to expose Mr. Lu's weakness, Kim deliberately provoked him to do it to herself, and she had already made full preparations. And that accident, it was also caused by her willful cooperation with the other side. Nanshan knew her mother had been prepared, but she was still very worried. Wasn't relieved until she got a text from Kim.
유시오, 너 진짜 나중에 가만 안 둔다.
At this moment, a beautiful woman walked in, and didn't notice the faucet. That evening, Mr. Lu invited Nanshan to dinner. He asked Nanshan again why she was so strong. Nanshan confessed that it was inherited from her family, but the inheritance came from her Mongolian adoptive parents. This true and false statement did not arouse suspicion. After dinner, Mr. Lu wanted to send Nanshan home. Nanshan immediately panicked, because once back to her own home, her identity would definitely be exposed. At this moment, she sent a text message in time. Tell Nanshan to come to his house tonight. But Nanshan didn't know. She was about to lose her first kiss.